You know, sometimes I feel kind of indifferent about these episodes of SmackDown because, for the most part, not much is really going on when you take a look at the grand picture here on SmackDown, other than kind of the basic, I guess, main event, I guess you could call them storylines. Because tonight we obviously had the Vision once again in the main event, even though they're not even on SmackDown. We had the Vision here against Cody and Randy Orton. We had Cody kick off the show here, and he was going to cut one of his promos here at the beginning of the program, but he gets interrupted by Paul Heyman, who then brings out Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker alongside him. And this obviously brings out Randy Orton to the save. But the promo here really was Paul Heyman trying to get into the mind of Randy Orton, trying to create some sort of diversion, some sort of, I guess, tension between Cody and Randy, because that's obviously his play. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get these two guys to not be on the same page with each other and causing them to lose here in the main event, which is obviously what happened. But I thoroughly enjoyed the teases of the whole dissension between Randy and Cody, because, we've obviously seen this for the last couple of years. Like, they're obviously teasing that Randy is going to turn on Cody at some point. There's rumors about that was potentially going to happen at WrestlePalooza. That was potentially going to happen somewhere else. I don't really know when it's going to happen, but I did come up with a scenario here as far as Randy and whether or not he could play a factor into the Crown Jewel match. Because Randy was given the sort of scenario here by Paul Heyman that whether he loses the match here tonight in the tag team match, whether he's the one that actually takes the losing fall, or whether Cody ends up losing the match here for him, eventually it's going to turn out bad for Randy Orton. Now, what if by some scenario here, Randy is the main reason that Cody ends up losing that match against Rollins at Crown Jewel? Because I don't really think a lot of people are taking Randy into the account here for, potentially maybe either on purposely screwing over Cody Rhodes, or maybe on accident, whether that's the case or not. But I wouldn't count Randy out as far as maybe him playing a bigger role here with that whole dilemma and situation here. Also, we had Seth Rollins here actually aid his boys, the Braun Browns here, get the win over Cody and Randy Orton afterwards. And I really enjoyed this because they're really teasing and playing up the fact of how Cody just always seems to have the upper hand over Seth Rollins, right? Because Seth and his boys, they're done, right? They won the match. They're heading off. They're in the entrance ramp when Seth Rollins stops midway ramp and looks over at Paul Heyman, and Paul almost like reads him like a book. He tells him, whatever you're thinking, don't do it. Don't do what you're thinking. Rollins, however, sees Cody in this position, this prime position to give him the stomp. But Cody reverses, lays him out with the crossroads, and stands tall over Seth Rollins. So, I mean, I really enjoyed the whole fact and the whole sort of, thing here, which is like, hey, Seth, he can never seem to figure out Cody Rhodes, right? Seth, he's always been able to figure out somebody like a Roman or somebody like a Punk, but now to have him, be in the same situation, but now with somebody doing that to him, and that being Cody Rhodes, it just screams to me like, hey, they're actually going to have Seth win here, because if not, then like it really wouldn't make sense to me, because you have this guy kind of, doubt himself in Seth. You have him doubt himself. You have him, come up short against Cody. To me, it just screams a Seth win here. Another thing that I thoroughly enjoy nowadays here as far as SmackDown is, and really what makes SmackDown bearable, is the whole Sami Zayn Open Challenge. Because tonight we had the Sami Zayn Open Challenge. It was teased, and even Carmelo Hayes came out, that it was going to be Carmelo Hayes against Sami Zayn. But The Miz came out and delivered a skull-crushing finale onto Carmelo Hayes on the entrance ramp, because they had a backstage promo, and obviously what happened last week, it would assume that both guys were going to go their separate ways. But tonight The Miz officially turned on Melo, and low-key I was kind of a little upset that we're not going to see Melo against Sami, because I feel like that would have been a great match. But we had Aleister Black step in and be the replacement here for Carmelo against Sami. And again, Sami Zayn, he's literally on like the run of a lifetime here for him, because like I said before, I doubted this whole Sami Zayn US title because it kind of just felt like it came out of nowhere. but you know, I think they mentioned that this was his 5th title defense in about a month. So, you know, just keep these coming, man. Keep these coming. Ball the fraud Triple H. This is one of the things that I actually enjoy that he is doing. Yo, and as far as Carmelo goes, I truly feel that, you know, if they want to actually put the rocket behind Carmelo Hayes, they could legitimately do that, because Carmelo, he's one of these situations where he could be a phenomenal heel, but he could be an equally great babyface. There's so much potential there with him, although it just really remains to be seen whether or not somebody like Triple H actually believes in him to give him the ball. Last but not least, I wanted to end it off here with the women's contract signing between Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton. Yo, and to be honest, this contract signing was literally the safest and most unusual contract signing that I have ever seen in wrestling history, as long as I've been watching wrestling, because I'm pretty sure we're all aware that these contract signings, they typically start off very diplomatic, and then they, you know, start talking shit to each other, and then they put each other through the table and somebody stands tall. Here they just signed the contract, said a few words to each other about how the best woman is going to win, and that's basically it. Eventually we saw Julia here and Kiana James attack Tiffany Stratton, and then afterwards Tiffany and Stephanie stand tall over both of them, and it's been announced that it's going to be a tag team match next week on SmackDown. At this point, they're just playing the can they coexist card, because literally Crown Jewel is in a week from now. They can't really give you a deep enough storyline like they are with Cody and Seth, because even though Cody and Seth is coming together like relatively quickly, they obviously have years worth of history that they could build off of. Stephanie and Tiffany really don't have that, right? Especially if they're both baby faces, it doesn't really seem to work here. But post your comments down below, let me know what you thought of tonight's episode of SmackDown, and until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.